Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel that takes on all kinds of issues related to narcissistic relationships, narcissistic people, understanding narcissism, and just figuring out how to navigate difficult, toxic, volatile relationships with difficult, toxic, volatile people. It's my hope that the content on this channel will help you understand this and then hopefully grow or heal if you've had to deal with it. And as always, if you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. You'll join this amazing community of folks who are all interested in learning about narcissism, and I hope are learning about narcissism. And if you hit that bell, you'll get notifications every time we put out new videos, which as of now is every day. And if you happen to like the video, you can give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. But knowing that we're hitting our marks also helps quite a bit. So I'm going to ask you a question. Think to yourself, what are some things you should never say to a narcissist? That's what this little series is going to take on. Every so often I'm going to be putting out these videos that really answers this question. What should you not say to a narcissist? So here's one for you. Have you ever asked a narcissist this question? Do you listen to yourself? Have you ever asked a narcissist that question? Sometimes by learning the things to not say, you can actually make the rather bumpy road of a relationship with a narcissist a little bit of a more survivable space. But let's go to this idea. Asking or saying to the narcissist, do you ever listen to yourself? Now, this is definitely not a good thing to say to a narcissist, but it's so tempting to say it, right? Nonetheless, do you ever listen to yourself? When you have to listen to the gaslighted, delusional, manipulative, victimized rants that come out of them, you just want to ask them, are you listening to yourself? As always, I am telling you to avoid saying all the various things I'm going to tell you in this series as they unfold, because if you cave into that, you're going to be left facing their dysregulated rage. And let me tell you, even if you feel a momentary satisfaction by saying these things to them or asking them these questions, their rage is actually really, really uncomfortable, miserable experience to have to be in the face of. So why would you want to ask them this question? Mostly because what they're saying doesn't make sense. Are you listening to yourself? Many people who are experiencing narcissistic relationships will be so confused by what they are hearing that they will first doubt themselves and think, maybe I'm hearing this wrong, or maybe I'm seeing this as worse than it is, or I'm so confused, or maybe they're right. All of that, that's what the gaslighting does to us. It leaves us questioning our entire reality and ourselves. But the reason this is a bad question is because it misses the damaging alchemy of two key patterns in narcissistic people. Their lack of ability to be self-reflective, to really think about themselves, and their lack of insight, and their emotional dysregulation and their impulsivity. People with narcissistic personality styles lack insight. It's central to this personality style. They are unable to think about how their behavior affects other people. And that is also in large part due to their lack of empathy. Because even if they did know, they don't care. And there's also a lack of capacity to think deeply about feelings, motivations, or behavior in people who are narcissistic. There's a very infantile organization to the narcissistic personality. And so sort of higher order levels of thought, like we should see in an adult, such as the implications of what they are saying or how the message could be received, it doesn't even enter their minds. But for a minute, let's give folks who have narcissistic personalities a little bit of credit. Because let's face it, they are not psychotic. They are not completely devoid of insight. They're not completely absent of the capacity for rational thought. After all, narcissistic people are highly successful in society. So even if they do have a little self-reflective capacity, for example, narcissistic people know how to schmooze a new client to get them to buy something. They know how to be nice to the boss. They're skillful at taking their rage out on people who don't have much power. So ultimately, what really does the narcissist in, it's not just that lack of empathy and that lack of self-reflection, it's It's the impulsivity. When a narcissistic person is having a strong feeling or belief, they just have to say it. Inhibition is not in their vocabulary. This impulsivity is why we see their high levels of reactivity, their disinhibited rage, even the dangerous driving. Narcissistic people just say it first and maybe, just maybe, might apologize later, and they'll come up with some kind of sad justification after the fact. And then, since they are dysregulated, they turn around and they do it again. Narcissism is all about tension reduction. They do not like it when strong feelings come up in them, or when they feel inadequate, or when they feel abandoned. So they just have to let those uncomfortable feelings out. And then they often will say bizarre, menacing, terrifying, confusing, threatening, angering, and or hurtful things. So if you were to say to them, "Are you listening to yourself?" When they hear that from you, it activates their shame. In fact, I can all but guarantee it will. After one of their infantile breakdowns, they don't like it being shown to them, or it being pointed out to them, or being reminded of it. So if you call them out on their emotionally immature behavior and ask them, "Don't you see it? Are you not listening to yourself?" Then I'll tell you what you're going to experience, not their insight, but their rage. It's like thunder and lightning. First you see the crack of lightning, then you hear the clap of thunder. With narcissistic people, first they experience their shame, and then, just like the thunder, comes the rage. If you ask them are you listening to yourself? They will actually blame you for their meltdown and take no responsibility for their conduct. And it can be extremely frustrating and confusing to listen to that. So the best play? Don't ask the question in the first place. The short answer of, should I ask this question? No. Even if they are listening to themselves, even if they were, they don't want to be held accountable. Remember, taking responsibility is not something we ever observe in the narcissistic personality style. And the fact is, they don't care enough about you or your feelings or anyone else to stop themselves. That impulsivity is more important than anything else. This question to a narcissist, "Are you listening to yourself?" is never going to get an honest or clear answer from somebody with a high conflict personality style. So ideally, don't ask it. Because here's the thought. Maybe the narcissistic folks are smarter than the rest of us. You know why? They know better. And they often don't listen to themselves. Maybe we should take a page out of that playbook and not listen to them either. But this is a key thing, to not ask people who are narcissistic this question. What's going to come back at you is not good for you. It's not going to move the needle. It's probably going to make things worse. And you're just going to have to accept they can't self-reflect. They're very impulsive. And the combination of all that means, no, they're not listening to themselves. And if they were, they're going to blame you for it. Thanks again.